Let me tell you something that might just change the direction of your entire life. It doesn't begin next year. It doesn't begin when you feel ready. It begins before 9 a.m., before most people even decide who they want to be that day. I've seen too many people sleepwalk through their mornings, hitting snooze again and again, running late, rushing out the door, already losing before the day has even started. They live in reaction, not creation. They chase time instead of mastering it. They exist by default, not by design. But here's the truth that no one tells you. Your morning isn't just the start of your day. It's the foundation of your future. How you begin will always dictate how you end. And the question I want you to ask yourself is this: are you waking up with purpose, or are you just waking up? Because if you win the morning, you win the day. And if you win enough mornings, you win your year, your decade, your life. It's not about perfection, it's about direction, discipline by design. One small, intentional habit practiced every single morning can unlock more energy, more clarity, and more control than most people ever imagine. So I'm challenging you, not next Monday, not after the vacation, but starting today, to rethink the way you wake up. Because if you don't create your morning routine, life will create one for you. And I promise you it won't be the one you want. Now stay with me, because this message isn't about cliches or motivational fluff. It's about structure, power, and peace. In this journey, I'm going to show you how to build a morning so strong, so deliberate, that it becomes your weapon against chaos. A morning that doesn't just prepare you for the day, it commands it. The question isn't whether mornings matter. The question is, do you? Let's begin with the first hour. The moment your eyes open, before the world touches you, before the noise starts creeping in. That first hour isn't ordinary, it's sacred. It's not just another 60 minutes. It's a window of clarity, a moment that decides whether you're leading your life or being led by it. Most people don't have a morning. They have an emergency. They wake up already behind, already anxious, already scrolling through someone else's world before they've even checked in with their own. They grab their phone like it's oxygen, but what they're really doing is suffocating their focus. But what if you treated that first hour differently? What if it became your training ground, your temple, your advantage? Because if you can master the first hour, you can master your day. And when you master enough days, you master your destiny. Discipline doesn't start when you clock in, it starts before breakfast. That first decision to rise with intention tells your mind, this day belongs to me. Think of your morning like the boardroom of your life. You are the CEO sitting at that table, deciding the tone, the focus, and the direction of everything that follows. So ask yourself, when that alarm rings, do you walk into that hour with a plan, or do you stumble into it like a leaf in the wind? Because if you don't lead the first hour, the world will. And believe me, the world is pushy. It's got emails, notifications, breaking news, gossip, distractions, none of which serve your purpose. So what does it mean to master that first hour? It doesn't mean stuffing it with 20 tasks. It means owning a few powerful disciplines and doing them with heart. Start by waking up with intention, not anxiety. Sit in silence for 2 minutes before the noise arrives. Breathe, feel your body come alive. Write down your goals, even if they're the same as yesterday. Read a few pages of something that feeds your growth, not your fear. Move, stretch, walk, or do something that wakes your energy. And most importantly, decide who you will be today before the world tells you who to be. You don't need perfection, you need rhythm. You don't need motivation, you need consistency. Because when the first hour is intentional, the rest of the day flows in alignment. But when it's chaotic, you spend the rest of the day recovering from your own confusion. I've lived both. Mornings where I reacted and mornings where I led. And the difference isn't subtle. When I treated my morning like an accident, my results looked accidental. But when I treated it like a ritual, the rest of my life started to rise to that standard. And the best part, it doesn't take a miracle. It takes one decision. The decision to show up for yourself. Not next week, not when life slows down, tomorrow morning. When that alarm goes off, you rise. Not because you feel like it, but because you promised yourself you would. You claim that first hour as your own. You set the tone, the focus, the energy. You begin the day as a leader, not a follower of chaos. Because if you don't master that hour, the world will master you. And I don't want that for you. I want your mornings to be a launch pad, not an apology. I want you to rise into your power, not crawl into your obligations. Every sunrise is a second chance to decide who you are. Every morning is a message, one that says, I'm ready. So tomorrow, when the alarm goes off, don't hit snooze. Don't delay your greatness. Sit up, Breathe, move, write, think, pray. Do something small but sacred that declares, "This day belongs to me," because the truth is simple. When you win the morning, you don't just win the day, you win your life. Let me share something with you that changed the way I look at time. Success is never an accident. It doesn't appear suddenly one morning like a miracle. It's not waiting for you in luck or talent or good fortune. Success is built brick by brick inside your schedule. Your habits, your hours, your priorities, that's where it hides. Most people think they're chasing dreams, but what they're really doing is running in circles because their days have no direction. They wake up, react to everything, and call it being busy. But busy is not progress. Busy is just movement without meaning. I want you to picture your life as a house under construction. Every hour is a brick. Every decision is mortar. And your schedule, that's the blueprint. The problem is, most people never look at their blueprint. They let the days build themselves. They hope things will just work out. But the truth is, you can't live a first-class life with a second-rate schedule. Let me ask you something real. If I looked at your calendar for the next 7 days, would I see your dreams on it? Would I see time carved out for your growth, for reading, reflection, training, building, or connecting with people who make you better? Or would I see endless appointments, errands, obligations, and noise, a full calendar, but an empty direction? You see, success isn't waiting in the future. It's hidden inside your daily routine, inside those small hours that you overlook. The difference between people who rise and people who remain is not in how many hours they have, but in how deliberately those hours are used. Every one of us gets the same 24. The difference is what we do with them. The wealthy, the wise, the strong, they're not special. They're just scheduled. The broke man and the rich man have the same hours. The distracted and the disciplined wake up to the same clock. But the outcomes? Completely different. Why? Because one person uses time with purpose, while the other lets time use them. So I want you to look at your schedule not as a list of tasks, but as a mirror. It tells the truth about what you value. You say health matters, but is there a block of time for your body? You say family matters, but is there time set aside, fully present for them? You say your dreams matter, but where are they on your calendar? You see, your priorities aren't what you say, they're what you schedule. Now, I'm not saying fill your day with endless to-do lists. That's not power, that's panic. What I'm talking about is deliberate time, time that matches your values, that aligns with who you're becoming. It's about design, not demand. It's not about squeezing more in, it's about focusing on what truly matters. Because here's the truth, if you don't design your day, distraction will. The world will always find a way to fill your hours. Notifications, calls, meetings, gossip, obligations, they'll consume your energy if you don't protect it. You must learn to be the architect of your time, not the tenant. And here's the secret, you don't need to get it perfect. You just need to start. Start small, but start deliberately. Block 30 minutes in the morning for yourself. No phone, no noise, no demands. Just time to center your mind and align your focus. Block 20 minutes at night to reflect, to ask yourself what worked, what didn't, and what you'll do better tomorrow. Give your goals a time slot. Protect that slot like it's sacred, because it is. You see, when you start giving structure to your time, life starts giving structure to your results. Suddenly, you stop feeling like time is running away from you. You stop feeling like every day is slipping through your fingers. Instead, you feel grounded, calm, prepared. You stop living as a victim of time and start living as the author of it. And I promise you, once you learn to live by design, you'll never want to go back to living by default. You'll look at your calendar and see not a list of tasks, but a map of your destiny. You'll start realizing that every time block, every hour is an investment. Not in the moment, but in the person you're becoming. So I want you to do something. After this, open your calendar. Look at your week. Ask yourself, does this reflect the life I want? If the answer is no, then redesign it. Move things, cancel things, create space for what matters. Because success doesn't just arrive, it's scheduled. And here's the beautiful part. And once you take control of your schedule, you take control of your peace. You stop rushing, you stop apologizing for running late to your own life. You start living deliberately. You begin to see how every hour can serve your purpose instead of your panic. And time is not your enemy, it's your opportunity. And every day it's asking you the same question. What will you build with me today? Because either you run your schedule or your schedule runs you. And one of those choices will lead you to a life of regret, the other to a life of purpose. Choose wisely. Let me tell you something that every successful person understands deep down. Your results are not built in public. They're built in private. They are not built in the noise of the world, but in the silence of your habit. Your life is nothing more than the sum of what you repeat, and what you repeat becomes who you are. Most people want the outcome, but they avoid the process. They dream of success, but they resist the discipline. They want the reward, but they don't want the ritual. Yet every achievement you admire, every person you respect, every legacy you wish to create, they were all built the same way, through ritual. Let's make something clear. A ritual is not a routine. A routine is what you do when you have to. A ritual is what you do because it defines you. A ritual carries intention, meaning reverence. It's not just an act, it's a declaration. This is who I am. The world teaches you to focus on goals, but goals are destinations. Rituals are directions. Goals tell you where you want to go, but rituals decide whether you'll get there. Let me ask you something. What do your daily rituals say about you? When no one's watching, when no one's clapping, when it's early and quiet, what are you doing? Because that's where your truth lives. The successful don't wait for motivation. They move from ritual. They have trained themselves to act, not react. To begin, even when it's inconvenient. To continue, even when it's uncomfortable. You see, discipline doesn't mean perfection. It means devotion. It means you've decided that your purpose is worth more than your excuses. You don't have to be extraordinary to start, but you have to start to become extraordinary. And that happens not in one big leap, but in small, repeated choices. The kind that feel insignificant in the moment, but compound over time into power. Think of it like this. If you read 10 pages a day, that's 300 pages a month, about a book and a half. That's 18 books a year, 18 new perspectives, lessons and ideas that shape your thinking. If you move your body for 15 minutes each morning, that's over 90 hours a year of energy, strength, and discipline. Small rituals don't just change your schedule, they change your identity. And that's the secret. At first, you shape your rituals. Over time, they begin to shape you. They build your confidence, your focus, your mental clarity. They become part of your DNA. You start thinking differently, acting differently, expecting more of yourself. You stop being a victim of emotion and start being a master of rhythm. You've probably met people who seem calm under pressure, grounded in chaos, unstoppable in their momentum. They don't get that way by accident. They've trained themselves through repetition. They've built a pattern of victory before the battle begins. They don't wake up wondering what to do. Their rituals already decided it for them. Now, here's where most people get it wrong. They think success is about intensity. They think it's about huge bursts of effort, the all or nothing mindset. But success doesn't care about intensity. It cares about consistency. One drop of water doesn't carve stone, but continuous flow does. It's not what you do once that transforms you. It's what you do daily, when no one's applauding, when it's hard, when it's dull. So if you truly want to change your life, don't start with your goals. Start with your rituals. Build one for your mind. Read, study, feed your intellect. Build one for your body. Move, breathe, strengthen it. Build one for your spirit. Reflect, pray, or sit in stillness. Protect those rituals as if your future depends on them, because it does. Every time you repeat a ritual, you reinforce a message to yourself. I am someone who shows up. And that belief changes everything. You stop waiting for confidence, because confidence comes from keeping promises to yourself. You stop waiting for inspiration, because discipline has already built momentum. You begin to move differently, speak differently, think differently, not because the world changed, but because you did. And here's the beauty of it all. Rituals don't just help you achieve, they help you endure. When life hits, when motivation disappears, when everything feels uncertain, your rituals are the anchor that keep you grounded. They're the reminder that even if the world is unpredictable, you are not. You have structure, you have rhythm, you have control. So as you build your mornings, your days, your life, don't chase 1,000 goals at once. Choose a few powerful rituals and give them everything you've got. Do them with presence, do them with patience, do them with pride. Because in time, they will build the version of you you've always wanted to become. Strong, focused, peaceful, unstoppable. You don't need to reinvent your life overnight. You just need to repeat what matters over and over until excellence becomes your normal. That's how transformation happens. Quietly, gradually, one ritual at a time. There's a small button most people press every morning that quietly destroys their momentum. The snooze button. It seems harmless, doesn't it? 10 more minutes, just a little more rest, a tiny delay before the day begins. But what most people don't realize is that those 10 minutes are not free. They cost you something invisible but irreplaceable. They cost you control. When you hit snooze, you're not buying rest. You're buying hesitation. You're telling your mind later is better than now. You're training yourself to postpone action, to choose comfort over commitment, to start the day with avoidance instead of intention. And that, my friend, is how small, lazy habits grow into big, wasted years. Because the truth is, how you start your morning is how you start your life. The snooze button is more than a habit, it's a declaration. It's your first decision of the day, and that first decision sets the tone for every other one that follows. When you choose to delay, even for 10 minutes, you begin your day negotiating with yourself. You teach your brain that your word doesn't matter, that you can make promises and break them without consequence. But every broken promise leaves a mark. Every delay dulls the edge of your discipline. Now, I know what some people say, I'm just not a morning person, but that's not a genetic fact, that's a pattern. A pattern built from repetition, from choosing comfort long enough that it begins to feel like identity. The truth is, no one is born a morning person. We become one by deciding that purpose matters more than sleep, that our dreams deserve the first and best hours of our day. Imagine this. You wake up, the alarm goes off, and instead of reaching for the snooze, you sit up. Your body resists, your mind complains, but you move anyway. You stand, you breathe, you drink a glass of water, you stretch, you take one deliberate step toward the day. That small act and that single moment of choice is the difference between a morning of momentum and a morning of regret. Because here's what most people forget. Confidence isn't built by success. It's built by keeping promises to yourself. When you say you'll wake up at 6 and you actually do, something shifts inside you. Your brain learns that your word is law, that you can trust yourself, and that self-trust is the foundation of every form of strength. The snooze button, on the other hand, is a silent thief. It steals your energy before the day even begins. It robs you of the satisfaction of a clean start. It tells you that your comfort is worth more than your potential. And it trains you over time to hesitate in your decisions, your opportunities, your dreams. Because how you do one thing is how you do everything. If you delay the morning, you'll delay the moment. If you start with avoidance, you'll finish with excuses. But you can rewrite that pattern right now. Replace the snooze with strategy. Instead of lying there negotiating with yourself, stand up. Not because you feel ready, but because you said you would. That's how discipline is built. Not through motivation, but through movement. The first 5 minutes of your day are the most important. They're a test. And every time you rise without hesitation, you train your mind to lead, not follow. The best thing you can do in those first few minutes is simple. Wake the body, wake the mind, wake the purpose. Drink water. Let your body know it's time to begin. Move, even just a few stretches or push-ups, to signal energy. Write down your goals, to remind yourself why today matters. Do something intentional before the noise of the world starts knocking. And whatever you do, don't start your day inside someone else's life. Don't scroll. Don't compare. Don't consume. Create. This is your time to decide who you will be before the world decides it for you. Some people will tell you, but I need those extra minutes of sleep. The truth, you don't. What you need is momentum. You need a clear mind, a body in motion, and a sense of control. 10 extra minutes of fragmented sleep won't give you that. But 10 extra minutes of clarity, of quiet, of purpose, that can change everything. You see, every morning gives you a doorway. One side is comfort, the other is growth. The snooze button keeps you in the same room you've been in for years. Rising early, rising deliberately, opens the door to something greater. It's not about being harsh on yourself, it's about being honest. You can't say you want change while choosing the same small acts of delay every day. So tomorrow morning, when that alarm rings, remember this moment. Remember that the person you want to become is waiting on the other side of that decision. Don't let hesitation steal your progress. Don't let comfort win the first battle. Sit up, stand tall, move forward. Even if it's hard, even if it's dark, even if your body begs for 5 more minutes, because those 5 minutes might just be the distance between the life you're living and the one you're capable of. There's a version of you that doesn't hit snooze, a version that rises with purpose. That person already exists inside you. disciplined, confident, driven. You just have to wake them up. Every morning is a chance to meet that version again, to choose growth over comfort, to start strong, to move from snooze to strategy. Because every time you hit snooze, you train yourself to delay life. But every time you rise with intention, you train yourself for greatness. Let me ask you a question. What are you feeding your mind first thing in the morning? Because just like your body needs the right fuel to function, your mind does too. The thoughts, words, and images you consume in the first hour of your day quietly decide the tone for everything that follows. Yet most people treat that first mental meal like junk food. They wake up and feed their minds with chaos. The news, the gossip, the scrolling, the noise. They fill their thoughts with distraction before they've even taken a moment to think for themselves. And then they wonder why they feel tired, unmotivated, anxious, or unfocused. They think it's because they're not morning people, but that's not the truth. The problem isn't the morning, it's what they're putting into it. Because here's the rule: garbage in, garbage out. If you begin your day with fear, confusion, and comparison, your mind will carry that energy like a shadow through the rest of the day. But if you start with clarity, focus, and purpose, everything around you begins to rise to meet that standard. The mind is like soil. Whatever you plant first grows fastest. So what are you planting? Doubt or discipline? Fear or focus? You have to be intentional about it. You have to become the gatekeeper of your own thoughts. Every morning you have a choice. You can feed your mind with noise, or you can feed it with knowledge. You can start your day by reacting to the world or by creating your own world. Let me make this simple. Study more than you scroll. Absorb wisdom before you absorb distraction. Feed your mind the same way an athlete feeds their body before a race, with something that strengthens, not something that drains. You don't need hours of study or a long, complex routine. You just need 15 minutes of focused nourishment. Read a few pages from a good book. Not something random, but something that stretches you. Listen to a voice of wisdom, a podcast, a mentor, an audiobook. Write a few thoughts of your own, not for perfection, but for reflection. These aren't small acts, they're declarations. You're telling your mind, I'm in charge of what I think about today. Because every morning, you're programming yourself, whether you realize it or not. Every word, every sound, every image you let in becomes part of your mindset. And your mindset is the architect of your results. You can't think like everyone else and expect to live differently. You can't fill your mind with noise and expect peace. You can't fill it with negativity and expect confidence. The most successful people aren't smarter, they're just more selective. They protect their mental diet like it's sacred. They don't let random information pollute their focus. They know that one good idea can change everything, but one bad distraction can delay progress for months. So they filter what they consume. They choose substance over speed, wisdom over entertainment, intention over impulse. If you start your day by scrolling, what are you really doing? You're giving your mind away before you've even owned it. You're letting strangers, headlines, algorithms decide how you feel. You're letting the noise of the world write the story of your morning. But when you choose silence, study, reflection, you take that power back. You start living on purpose, not by accident. And here's the beauty of it. This small act of control creates momentum. The moment you feed your mind something meaningful, your focus sharpens, your energy rises, and your emotions align. You become calmer, wiser, more deliberate. It's not about being perfect or productive every minute. It's about starting with intention. Because when you win the first hour mentally, you win the day emotionally. Think of your morning like a launch pad. Whatever you fuel it with determines how high you go. If you fill it with worry, you fly low. If you fill it with wisdom, you rise. If you feed your mind with gratitude, you attract more of what's good. If you feed it with growth, you expand. Some people say they don't have time to read, reflect, or learn, but they spend 30 minutes scrolling or complaining without noticing. You always have time. It's just a matter of what you prioritize. Trade 10 minutes of distraction for 10 minutes of direction. Exchange the noise of the world for the voice of your future. Because your mind will either be your greatest ally or your biggest enemy, and that depends entirely on how you train it. So tomorrow morning, make it a rule. No noise before nourishment. Before you check your phone, check your focus. Before you step into the world, step into your thoughts. Choose something that grows you, something that reminds you of who you're becoming. A few pages, a few words, a few quiet moments of clarity, that's all it takes. Because when you feed your mind right, you think better, act better, and live better. you become sharper, stronger, more peaceful. The world may still throw challenges your way, but you'll be ready, not reactive, but rooted. Because the person who controls their input controls their outcome. Your morning mind is the architect of your day. Protect it, feed it, strengthen it. Because when you learn to fuel your mind first, everything else, your actions, your choices, your life, begins to follow that same rhythm of excellence. There's a force that separates people who drift through life from those who move with purpose, movement, real, intentional physical motion. Not just exercise, not just fitness, but the act of waking your body so your mind can follow. Because when the body moves, the mind listens. When the body leads, the soul awakens. Too many people spend their mornings sitting still, waiting to feel ready. They think energy comes from rest, but the truth is energy comes from activation. You don't wait for it, you create it. The moment you move, even a little, your entire system begins to shift. The blood starts flowing, oxygen fills your lungs, your focus sharpens, your thoughts begin to organize. That's not coincidence, that's design. The human body was never built for stillness. It was built to move, to explore, to expand. Think about this. The most successful, resilient people you've ever met, they carry a rhythm in their lives. They have a certain pace, a certain momentum. They don't drag themselves into the day, they launch into it. That momentum doesn't come from luck or personality, it comes from movement, from the decision to begin before they feel inspired, from the discipline of motion before emotion. And yet, most people treat their mornings like a waiting room. They roll out of bed, slump into a chair, scroll through their phone, and wonder why they feel tired. They wait for motivation to strike before moving. But motivation isn't the spark, movement is. You don't move because you feel motivated, and you feel motivated because you move. So let me be clear, you don't need an intense workout at dawn or an hour-long gym session to transform your day. You just need momentum. A few minutes of stretching, walking, or breathing deliberately can flip the switch inside your brain from idle to active. A walk outside as the world wakes up. A few slow push-ups to remind yourself you're alive. A deep inhale, a long exhale. These small acts anchor your mind in the present moment and prepare you to perform. Because when you move your body, something powerful happens. Your state changes. Your emotions shift. Your mind clears. You stop carrying the weight of yesterday into the possibilities of today. You stop being a thinker trapped in your thoughts and start being a doer in motion. And in that space, clarity arrives. I've seen people break years of mental stagnation just by introducing movement into their mornings, because motion defeats resistance. Stillness breeds hesitation, but movement sparks courage. When you move, even in small ways, you send a signal to yourself that says, I'm alive, I'm capable, I'm ready. It's not about burning calories, it's about building confidence. And confidence is physical. It's in the way you walk, the way you breathe, the way you stand. Every deliberate movement you make tells your brain that you're in control. It's no wonder why so many leaders, thinkers, and creators make movement a part of their morning ritual. They understand that the body is the gateway to the mind. There's science behind this, but you don't need science to feel it. Take a short walk tomorrow morning before checking your phone. Watch the way your thoughts rearrange themselves. Notice how the noise in your head begins to quiet down. Notice how new ideas begin to appear, how problems suddenly seem solvable, how your energy begins to rise without you forcing it. That's the power of activation. Because when you activate your body, you activate your potential. You stop living in theory and start living in action. The discipline of movement spills over into every area of your life. You make decisions faster, you speak with more certainty, you carry yourself differently. You start to feel momentum, not just physically, but mentally. There's something spiritual about it too. Movement connects you back to life itself. When you walk, run, or stretch, you reconnect with your breath, with the air, with the pulse of being present. It's like telling the world, I'm here, I'm showing up, and every morning you do that, you reclaim a little more of your strength. Most people underestimate how small acts of motion can change their entire emotional chemistry. Just 2 minutes of stretching can dissolve anxiety. A 10-minute walk can replace a cup of coffee. A few deep breaths can silence chaos. It's simple, but powerful. And simplicity is often the most profound form of mastery. So tomorrow, before you let the day rush in, move. Don't overthink it. Don't wait for the perfect workout, the perfect time, or the perfect plan. Just begin. Move your body in a way that wakes your spirit. Let motion become your morning medicine. The way you tell yourself, today I lead. Because the truth is, hesitation is the enemy of greatness. Every second spent waiting is a second of potential wasted. But the moment you take that first step, that first stretch, that first breath, everything starts to shift. The mind clears, the energy builds, and the day begins to obey your rhythm. Movement is not just physical, it's psychological. It's not just a habit, it's a philosophy. To move is to declare that you refuse to be stagnant, that you refuse to drift. It's the quiet decision to face the day with power, not passivity. So tomorrow morning, don't just wake up, rise. Step into motion. Even before you feel like it, let your body lead your mind. Let movement spark your momentum. Because you don't need to feel ready to begin. You just need to begin, and then once you do, everything else will follow. There are two invisible forces that shape every single day of your life: gratitude and goals. One grounds you, the other guides you. One keeps your heart aligned, the other keeps your focus sharp. When you wake up in the morning, before the noise, before the rush, before the world starts asking for pieces of you, those two forces are waiting. One asking, what are you thankful for? And the other whispering, where are you going? Most people start their mornings in survival mode. Their first thoughts are about what's missing, what's wrong, what hasn't happened yet. They wake up already chasing, already behind. And the energy they carry all day is the same: anxious, restless, unsatisfied. But when you start your morning with gratitude and goals, you shift the entire frequency of your life. You stop surviving and you start steering. Gratitude isn't a cliche, it's a correction. It's the act of reminding yourself that even when things aren't perfect, there's still something beautiful, something right, something worth noticing. It doesn't erase your problems, but it gives you perspective, and perspective changes everything, because you can't build a great day from a place of lack. You can only build it from a place of appreciation. Start simple. The moment you wake up, before you reach for your phone or step out of bed, think of 3 things you're thankful for. Don't overthink it. It could be your health, your family, your breath, a lesson you learned, or simply the fact that you've been given one more chance to try again. Speak them out loud if you can, because gratitude spoken is gratitude strengthened. Gratitude rewires your brain. It pulls your focus away from what you can't control and centers it on what you can. It softens the noise of complaint and turns it into awareness. You stop asking, why me, and start saying, thank you anyway. That shift might sound small, but it's the seed of resilience, because people who live with gratitude aren't people with perfect lives. They're people with perspective. But gratitude alone isn't enough. It anchors you in the present, yes, but you also need something that pulls you into the future. That's where goals come in, because direction gives purpose to your energy. Without goals, gratitude becomes comfort. With goals, gratitude becomes fuel. Every morning, take a few minutes to reconnect with what you're aiming for. Not just the what, but the who. Because real goals aren't just about achievement, they're about transformation. Don't just write, I want to be successful. Write, I'm becoming a disciplined, focused person who earns success through consistency. Don't just say, I want to be healthy. Say, I'm becoming someone who honors my body every day. When you frame your goals this way, they stop being wishes and start becoming identity. You see, goals without gratitude breed pressure. Gratitude without goals breeds stagnation. But when you carry both, you move through the day with peace and power. You walk with balance, your feet grounded in the present, your eyes set on the horizon. And here's the truth. You don't need to write a novel every morning. 2 minutes for gratitude, 2 minutes for goals. That's it. But those 4 minutes can change the other 23 hours. Because when you take time to be thankful, you start your day calm. When you take time to set your direction, you start your day clear. And clarity is power. It's not about what you have, it's about what you see. It's not about what you want, it's about who you decide to become. Gratitude and goals work together like the inhale and exhale of purpose. Gratitude says, I have enough. Goals say, but I can still grow. Gratitude says, I'm thankful for this moment. Goals say, I'm ready for the next one. Some mornings you won't feel like being grateful. Some mornings you'll feel too tired, too stressed, too lost. That's when you need it most. Gratitude isn't a reaction, it's a discipline. You don't wait for it. You practice it until it becomes your default setting. And the same goes for your goals. You won't always feel motivated, but motivation isn't the point. The point is to remind yourself of where you're going until it's impossible to forget. Because when you live without direction, life decides for you. the world will push you toward distraction, comparison, and noise. But when you start your day with clarity, this is who I am, this is where I'm going, this is what I'm thankful for, you move differently. You stop chasing everything and start attracting the right things. The combination of gratitude and goals is powerful because it connects both ends of your humanity. It reminds you that you can be content and ambitious at the same time. You can be thankful for what is while hungry for what could be. You can love your current chapter while writing the next one. So tomorrow morning, before the world reaches you, reach for those two things first. Take a deep breath, feel gratitude wash over you, and then open your notebook or your mind and set your aim. Gratitude in one hand, goals in the other. That's balance, that's power. That's how leaders begin their day. And if you keep doing it every morning, every season, even when it's hard, something remarkable will happen. Your days will start to align. Your energy will feel different. You'll stop waking up in reaction to life and start waking up in partnership with it. Because a person who begins their day with gratitude and goals doesn't just hope for change, they create it. There's a phrase that has the power to completely reshape the way you approach every single day. Win the morning, win the day. Simple words, almost too simple, but behind them lies one of the most transformative truths you'll ever live by. Because every day you wake up, life gives you a battle to fight, not always against the world, often against yourself, against distraction, against fatigue, against doubt. And how you face that first hour determines whether you'll lead your day or your day will lead you. Most people survive their mornings. They wake up late, rush through routines, scroll through noise, and stumble into their responsibilities half awake, already drained. Their morning becomes chaos, and that chaos leaks into everything else. The mind can't focus, the heart can't settle, and the day becomes one long reaction to everything outside their control. But the ones who win their mornings, they build their lives differently. They start with structure, with silence, with intention. They don't stumble into the day. They command it. They create rhythm, not randomness. Because when you win the morning, you set the standard for every decision that follows. You declare to the world and to yourself, I'm in control. I decide how this day will unfold. Winning the morning isn't about waking up at 4 a.m. or following a perfect 10-step routine. It's about ownership, owning your focus, your energy, your mindset before the world can touch it. It's about establishing a foundation strong enough that no matter what the day throws at you, you stand firm. Think of it this way, your morning is the steering wheel of your life. The moment you wake up, you grab it. You can steer your day toward growth, gratitude, and purpose, or you can let it drift into distraction, stress, and regret. And here's the truth. It's not the big moments that decide your destiny. It's the small, quiet choices that no one sees. The choice to wake up on time, the choice to stay off your phone, the choice to move, to read, to breathe, to focus. Those are victories, small, invisible victories that build momentum. Momentum is what separates those who keep growing from those who keep repeating. When you begin your morning with order, you carry that order into your work, your relationships, your thoughts. You become less reactive, more deliberate. You begin responding instead of reacting. You start leading instead of following. And that shift, subtle as it seems, is what changes the entire trajectory of your life. You see, the morning doesn't just prepare your body, it prepares your mind. It resets the compass of who you want to be today. Every sunrise offers a blank page, and the first few lines you write, your thoughts, your choices, your rituals, decide the story that follows. That's why winning the morning is so powerful, because if you write a strong beginning, the rest of the chapter follows your lead. But let me make something clear. This isn't about perfection. There will be mornings when you wake up tired, when nothing feels right, when your routine falls apart. That's life. Winning the morning doesn't mean everything goes perfectly. It means you show up anyway. It means you take one step, however small, toward intention. Because the strength of your discipline isn't measured on easy days. It's measured when it's inconvenient. So what does it mean practically to win the morning? It means creating a sequence that wakes up your body, sharpens your mind, and centers your spirit. You might start with movement, not to chase fitness, but to remind your body it's alive, then feed your mind. Read something that expands your perspective, not something that shrinks it. Finally, align your spirit through prayer, reflection, or silence. This doesn't take hours, it takes focus. Even if you do only one or two of those things consistently, you'll begin to feel it. That quiet, grounded confidence that comes from knowing you've already done something meaningful before before the world demanded anything, because that's the real power of winning the morning. It gives you a head start on yourself. The truth is, life will always try to pull you off balance. The world gets loud fast. Messages, notifications, problems, distractions, all fighting for your attention. If you don't center yourself before the noise begins, the chaos will center you. And that's what most people never realize. They lose their peace, not because life is hard, but because they never claimed it early enough. Winning the morning is a form of self-respect. It's saying, my mind, my time, my focus, they belong to me first. Because you can't pour from an empty cup. You can't lead anyone, not your team, not your family, not yourself, from a place of disorganization. You need structure, you need stillness, you need to fill yourself before you give yourself away. And I promise you this, once you start winning your mornings, everything else begins to align. You'll think clearer, you'll speak with more confidence, you'll handle challenges with calm instead of chaos. Because when you begin your day as the leader of your life, the rest of the day falls in line behind that energy. So tomorrow, when the alarm rings, don't think about comfort, think about control. Don't ask yourself, do I feel like it? Ask yourself, who do I want to be today? Because every morning gives you the same chance to rise with purpose or to drift with the crowd. Win the morning, not because it's trendy, not because it's easy, but because your future deserves that level of commitment. Win the morning, and the day will follow. And when you do it long enough, you'll realize something profound. You're not just winning the day anymore, you're winning your life.